welcome to the Courageous Self-Care podcast. I'm your host, Christina Marlette. On this show, I love to share about not bubble baths. I love to share about self-care that goes beyond bubble baths, chocolate and wine. This isn't where you learn how to take the ideal bubble bath. This is about self-care, acts of self-care that take courage and that can be uncomfortable and can be even unknown until you learn about them. So that's why I love to do this show, to show you self-care practices that you may not have considered. Today I have my friend Bonnie Earl on as my guest. Bonnie, welcome.
Thank you. A pleasure to be here.
I'm so glad you're here. Bonnie and I, our work is very similar, so I'm looking forward to hearing more about that. Bonnie, tell us a little bit about what you do.
So we do have a lot of similarities. We both have a background in education. I spent many years as a teacher, counselor, principal, and then at a certain point in my life, I felt really compelled to work with women. And I help women see how magnificent they are, because a lot of women really downplay their gifts and their talents. And so I also help them know that it doesn't matter what has happened in their life in the past, that they get to be the author of their story at any given moment in time. And I say to people that next to being a mom and a nana, it's the most satisfying, gratifying, rewarding work that I have ever done.
Yeah, that's saying something, because teaching can be pretty high up there.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
So I love to get our guest experts to share your favorite self-care practice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have many. And part of it for me is that I spent a lot of years up in my head. It was a very masculine environment in which I worked. And so one of my everyday practices is bringing myself out of my head into my body. And I have a grounding practice that I do every morning. And I also combine that with something called a metta meditation. And I start with myself. May I be safe. May I be peaceful and happy. May I be healthy. May I live in ease and grace. And then I do that for my grandchildren, for my family, for my friends. And it's a beautiful way of setting my intention for the day, that I live from a place of peace and grace.
Just even hearing you talk about it sounds delightful. And I have to say, it is becoming very apparent that meditation, from a variety of different guest experts that we've had on the show, and I keep talking about it, it makes such a difference.
Yes.
And I love that you mentioned about the masculine energy, because I can completely identify with that. I was just saying on the podcast I recorded yesterday that when I read Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, I didn't understand the Venus part at all. I couldn't identify with it. And the part about men and being from Mars, I thought, what's going on here? Because I completely understand this section.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sure being in the role of administrator and teacher, that just kind of compounds that energy. There's a lot of having to get stuff done and be assertive and goal-oriented.
Yes, yeah, all of that. And there was a time in my life that I talk about buying the red power suit, because there were parts of the job that I really didn't enjoy. And it required a different kind of energy. And whenever I would put on that red suit, it bolstered that ability to do that which did not come natural to me.
Right. Yeah. And red is a powerful color to be able to do that.
Yes.
Yeah. I feel like sometimes I want to put on a cape.
Yes.
When I need to send a difficult email or have a challenging conversation, I just want to put on that cape and know that there's a superhero inside me somewhere.
Yes, there is. Yes, that's very true. There is. We have access to that every day.
Yeah. Okay, so in our next section, we're moving into hearing Bonnie's story of courage. And the reason I love to have our guests share stories of courage is because when you hear about someone else moving through fear and receiving the gifts on the other side of that fear, I feel that it adds to our collective courage as human beings. It helps us increase our awareness, and then we can borrow that courage from the story that we heard and embody it and bring it into ourselves. So it's so powerful and important to hear other people's stories of courage. So Bonnie, I'm really looking forward to hearing yours.
Right. Um, and so I've talked about this in my chapter. I was a contributing author for the When Women Talk anthology, and it was 30 ordinary women sharing their extraordinary stories. And my chapter is called Get Busy at Living. And my husband, the father of my two beautiful daughters, was diagnosed with ALS. And he, from the very beginning, said, when something like this happens, you have a choice. You can get busy at living, or you can get busy at dying. I'm going to get busy at living. And his request was to live and to die at home. And on the night that he died, I was sitting on the bedside. Our two daughters, who were then 12 and 14, they were camped out at the foot of the bed. We were reading stories, we were singing songs, and he was gasping for every breath. And it was one of those times where everything was wrong, and yet nothing was wrong, because we were there as three courageous women who loved and supported him. And we wanted him to know that he was loved. Mm. And so through our courage, we gave him a most beautiful transition. And the gift for us also was that it brought the three of us together in a most incredible way.
Mm. Whew, that is a powerful story. It's going to ruin my makeup. Wow, that is, that is an incredible example of courage. So, Bonnie, what did it take for you to make the decision to support him in that way?
Yeah, it actually was a really easy decision, because I thought to myself, if this were reversed, what would I want? I would want him to love and support whatever my wish was. And I'd also had experiences with friends where they had been in the hospital setting. And I know that sometimes, for different reasons, people need to be in the hospital. But for him, that was not his choice. And so therefore we could have things be the way we wanted. We could have beautiful music in the background. We could have candlelight. We could have it be a very peaceful environment. And so I just thought, if it were reversed, what would I want? And I would want him to support me in what my wish was.
And that's such a powerful key about courage. So I'll reiterate, I've talked about this before on this podcast. There's a very big difference between bravery and courage. Yes. So bravery is acting when there is no fear. It's something that's in you that other people see it as courageous, but actually for you it's brave because there isn't fear. But with courage, it comes from the Latin word of core and the heart. And the heart is involved in an act of courage because there is fear. And what's on the other side is this ideal. And so it sounds like your ideal was a combination of compassion and love that allowed you to move through that fear to receive the gifts on the other side of it.
Absolutely. And I love that you said the word compassion, because when I speak about it, I will say ALS was my greatest teacher.
Hmm.
It taught me compassion.
Yes.
Taught me compassion. And my husband at one point said to me, "How can you love me? I'm a bag of bones. I'm drooling. And it's I love you, not your body. I love you."
Mm.
And
Yes.
so it taught me in a way that I never could have learned that.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in looking for the gifts in really challenging situations, and it sounds like that was a significant gift for you.
Yeah, yeah, huge, huge gift.
Yeah, to be able to understand an ideal like compassion from firsthand experience, that just sounds delicious in a way.
Yes, 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 and that's how I look at it. It's exactly that. It was
Hmm.
the biggest gift.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for courageously sharing your story about that. And I know that you are touching people, and including me. I think I haven't had a lot of experience with death in my life. For whatever reason, um, most people in my life remain alive, and I've done a lot of soul searching about death, and I feel like I'm not afraid to die myself, but fear of losing people that I love is, well, I guess it's something that will be experienced when I'm ready, when the time
Yes,
comes. Yeah, or maybe when I'm not ready, but when the time comes.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always in the perfect time.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, and an amazing experience for your daughters too.
Yes, yes, and they are both courageous, strong women, um, and I know that that has been the gift from this for them as well.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Mhm.
Okay, shifting gears a little bit,
Yes,
Bonnie. I have a few just get to know you fun questions.
yes.
So, what is the best thing you've done for yourself so far this year?
Oh, yes. Well, I am going on a fabulous, fabulous retreat to Maui. Actually, I leave next week, and I'm so excited. One, the location, and two, the people. There are going to be just some extraordinary, extraordinary people there. And I'm going to learn lots and have fun.
Well, I'm going to be there too, and I'm so
I
excited
know.
too.
That's part of what's going to make it so extraordinary.
Yes, and I'm looking forward to recording some podcast interviews there as well.
Right.
Yeah, I'll
Yes.
be coming direct from Maui next
Yes.
week. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I'm super excited about that as well. What book are you reading right now?
Right now I'm reading a book called Radical Acceptance,
Mm,
and it's by Tara Brach. And I'm only a couple of chapters in, but it is great. And again, speaks to loving and accepting ourselves for who we are, and being real, showing up and being real.
mm-hmm. So much fun to have in this life.
It is, yes, yeah.
Okay, and one more. What's the last movie that you saw?
Ah, hmm. I rewatched the movie Hidden Figures.
Oh, that's such a good one.
Such a powerful movie, yes.
Yeah.
And on my list is the Greatest Showman. Have you seen
Oh my
that?
gosh, I'm obsessed with that movie right now.
Oh yes, have you seen it?
Yes, it is so fantastic. I love a good musical, being a dance person, and it's so fantastic.
Oh good.
And I'll share a great experience that came out of watching that movie. So as soon as we watched it, our whole family saw it, and we downloaded the soundtrack, and we've been listening to it kind of nonstop. And the other night, my daughter and I danced and sang for the entire soundtrack. It was over an hour of good, wonderful, old-fashioned fun, and we put on costumes based on what was coming on. Oh, it was so good. It was like one of those moments that I'll remember forever. And my daughter was just dancing freely and we were singing at the top of our lungs. Oh, it was so
Um,
fun.
I'm even more excited to see it now than I was before.
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome.
Well, I
Great.
hope it lives up to my very high bar that
Oh,
I.
I'm sure it will, because I already have a fairly high expectation in my head without even talking to you, so I'm sure it will be.
And then after you watch it, we can listen to the music together.
Okay, and maybe dance.
Yeah. Well, Bonnie, this has been an absolute delight to connect with you in this way. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and your knowledge and your story of courage. If people want to know more about you and your work, where can they find you?
Yes, so they can go to my website, Bonnie-Earl, EARL.com.
Perfect. So please be sure to check out Bonnie's powerful work. And if you are interested in sharing your story of courage, if you've been inspired or if you have a great fear, then it's something that you should do. And you can go to ChristinaMarlette.com and apply to be a guest. Thank you so much for tuning in today. The Courageous Self-Care podcast airs Monday through Friday every week. And I'll leave you with this thought that I feel is so important. Self-care is not selfish. It is the exact opposite, because when you prioritize your own well-being on purpose with courage, not only are you shifting your energy and happiness, everyone in your immediate circle benefits, and actually your energy ripples out into the entire world. So there's nothing selfish about it. Make sure you do something that is courageous and in alignment with your self-care. I look forward to speaking with you again soon. Bonnie, thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.